So before I talk about Daniel Dubois, I was trying to play devil's advocate for my video yesterday where I said that I don't think Joshua really deserves a rematch with Daniel Dubois. And the argument you can make against this is you can look at someone like Lennox Lewis, who has lost twice in his career, but the first time he had to have another few fights before he got that fight again. And the second time with Hasim Murakman, he was the champion. And I think if you're the champion and you lose, I think you're a little bit more deserving the rematch. But obviously saying that AJ wasn't the champion, so I think even if you're using Lennox Lewis's career as an argument for Joshua having the rematch, I still don't think it quite works. Because as I said, he had to have a few more fights before he got the first rematch. And the second time he was champion. So I still think from a sporting perspective, the rematch doesn't make sense. Dubois won incredibly comfortably, beat him up. I don't think it was a lucky shot. I just think AJ wasn't right from the first second of the fight. I was hearing Lennox Lewis saying that, his body position was all wrong even before he was, hurt. I don't think it was like a lucky shot from the gods. I think AJ wasn't right from the first second. So yeah, I just don't think AJ is really deserving of that rematch. It might happen because from a business point of view, it would make sense, right? Everyone would love to see AJ come and redeem this loss. So I think if you did do it again, I think it would sell. And obviously it would make money. And obviously Dubois would make a lot of money. But I just think from a sporting perspective, it's insane. And I think AJ would be very lucky to get the rematch, because challengers don't normally get rematches, especially if you've been beaten in that sort of capacity. I mean, looking back through British boxing, a lot of the rematches have happened. So let's look at Carl Froch versus George Groves. They had a rematch because the first one, the stoppage was very controversial. It was quite early. I mean, when you look at their second fight, the stoppage kind of makes sense because you could kind of see it heading the way the second one did. But, I think the first stoppage was too early. And more recently, obviously, Fraser Clark, Fabio Wardy, that was a draw, right? So a rematch makes sense. So I think from a sporting perspective, AJ would be very lucky to get a rematch. And I said this yesterday, everyone just wants him to be a champion because he's got the looks, he's got the charisma, he's got the following. Everyone feels like he should be champion, but, Dubois just beat him up. But anyways, there hasn't been too much sort of, boxing news coming out today. I've been, looking at interviews and IFL TV and haven't seen too much to talk about, but Dubois came out on an interview with TalkSport. It was like a phone call, it wasn't live or anything, and yeah, Dubois sounded pretty happy, to be fair, and obviously, he deserves it. Because everyone sort of says Dubois is a bit simple, which I don't think is true, because if you look at his interviews with Ade, another one on TalkSport, I think when it's one-on-one, he gets a bit more relaxed, he's a bit more comfortable, you can get a bit more conversation out of him, but I think on the press nights, he's either just so fight focused that he's like, oh, this is nonsense, I don't want to, trouble my brain with this. All I'm thinking about is, the fight night. Maybe just something about, speaking in front of a big crowd that, he's not good at. Which seems kind of crazy, right? Because you can go out and perform a fight in front of 90,000 people, but maybe just not a great public speaker. One of the most interesting things I took from the interview was Dubois said that his ring walk was a walk in the park. And I've been saying this, this is what Dubois does. Dubois is a fighter. He's not an overthinker. In the same way AJ is. If he loses, he dusts himself off and he fights the exact same way. When he lost to Usyk, he came back, fought how he always fights. Comes in strong, piss it on you. Same after the Joyce fights, he never really changed his style in the way that AJ did. He didn't sort of overthink, oh, I lost once, I've got to change my whole style. He just went, right, I lost. We go again, I think he's actually stronger mentally than AJ. Just because I think AJ is more intelligent, he's an overthinker, which isn't necessarily good when it comes to boxing. I also think about this AJ Dubois rematch debate, I think a lot of it depends on if you're looking at him as a friend or as a sportsman. Because if you're like AJ's friend, if you went and got coffee with him every day, you'd be like, mate, come on, look at that career you've had. 2 times world champion, you got some great names on your record, you've done it all, you've sold out Wembley. I'd probably be saying, look, pack it in before the head trauma gets any worse. And I think a lot of people do underestimate the effects head trauma can have on you. To put it into perspective, they were thinking about banning headers in football because of their head trauma. Like, that's crazy, right? Compare that to boxing, heavyweight boxing, where you're getting constantly thumped in the head over and over, which I think a lot of people forget. But I think I understand, like, from a sportsman perspective or from a business perspective, you'd be like, yeah, it makes sense to do the rematch. You know, it would pay off, you'd get some respect back. But from a family or a friend perspective, you'd be like, probably pack it in, mate, while your health's still intact. Health before wealth. Get in, get out, get rich, as Adi Oladipo says. I think for me, I don't want to see that Dubois rematch. It was brutal the first time. Imagine it happens again. The damage that would do to you. I mean, obviously he's a fighter and he's going to believe in himself that he can rewrite the wrong like he did with AJ, but you can't jab Dubois' head off for 12 rounds. And Dubois not going to be as out of shape as Andy Ruiz was. I just think they're two different fighters. So my advice, to finally give my own thoughts on the situation. If you want to end it on a win, I'm okay with that. If you want to go to the O2, fight Joyce, fight White, I'm okay with that. Have one more. Have a nice celebratory win. One that's not too difficult. I'm all good with that. Do I want to see a Dubois rematch? No, I don't. If he does want that Dubois rematch, prove it to me. Win a few more fights first. But it's like, he can't rebuild again, can he? He's 34. So, yeah. There's not too much going on. You know, haven't been too much going on in the world of boxing today. So I just thought I'd give some more thoughts on the whole rematch debate and a little bit of an insight into Dubois' interview with TalkSport. So, yeah. Comment your thoughts down below. Would you like to see a rematch or not? Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.